Hello, everyone. My name is JD Calderon, and this is Indy Comics Explained. And yet again, I brought another fantastic group of independent comic book creators. So please hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video, let everybody know we're here. And once again, I brought on this guy.
What's up, Streamland? Oh, shit. Sorry. Wrong show. I'm still feeding off of last night. Whew, I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? I'm JD Rosario from Unstoppable Comics. Been making books since 2008. Hanging out with this guy a little later than that. Hanging out with the other guy that's going to come out a little later than that. And talking to a whole bunch of other independent creators who have been putting their money where their mouth is and making some kick-ass comic books.
All right, cool. What's up, Tom?
So you flubbed it.
Mm-hmm.
Who flubbed it? I flubbed it?
No, he did. He flubbed it.
Calderon to me.
After we talked about it all this time, he finally flubbed one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I flub him every now and again. Yeah. I do it every now and again.
I thought you were going to say I ran too fast because, I mean, you know, I'm hyper. Yesterday was too slow. The week before that, I was somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
I like my delivery.
Tom Hutchison, Big Dog Ink Comics, been doing this for 16 years, celebrating 15 years of The Legend of Oz, The Wicked West this year.
All right, cool.
Hey, I didn't think you flubbed it. I thought the energy is what people are going to remember. They're going to remember the amount of energy you brought to it. You know what I mean? That's what counts.
When you hear enough times, the flubs are what you notice.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The flubs are what we all individually notice.
So, Aaron, please introduce yourself.
I'm Aaron Cohen. I'm the co-creator and writer of Sticks and Stones Holiday Anthology, which is currently in pre-launch on Kickstarter. We are kicking it launching this week, and so we're super excited about that.
All right, cool. Marcus, sir, please introduce yourself.
Long time no see, fellas.
Yes, sir.
It's good to be back. I am Marcus McNeal, editor-in-chief of OdysseyComics.com. Good to come and talk to you guys again after a long hiatus, but it's good to see everybody and stuff for the conversation today.
Yep. How you doing, Alex? Please.
Hey, how are you? Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm Alex Schumacher. I'm the co-creator and artist of Sticks and Stones, along with Aaron there. And yeah, like he said, we're launching very, very soon, and we're super excited. We got some fun, early bird stuff and rewards to offer, and we're raring to go.
All right, cool. All right, gentlemen. I don't know how many of you saw it, but we got a show question. Right, as we all know, there's plenty of campaigns up on Kickstarter. I checked it today. We're at 315, which is down because it was 350 last week. So there are a lot of campaigns currently I'm running. What are you doing to set yourself apart? Right? What are you doing? Right? So the way this show works is last man in, first man up. Sorry, Alex, you're up.
No, that's fine. So with Aaron and I, and he can expand on this too. Part of what makes ours a little different is we are kind of using it as representation for the Jewish community, and on our side it's much more about the cultural side, the traditions, the family gatherings. So for us, a large part of the differentiating between other Kickstarters is we're doing a Jewish book, and it's I like to say we're Mel Brooks Jews as opposed to Ben Shapiro Jews. So it's all fun, it's all love, and we really try to emphasize that. So that's part of it. And I think something that we've strategized about too, and again, I don't want to take all the talking points away from Aaron, but I think making your rewards tiers sort of not just tied in, because yes, like us, we're doing a comic book, and so you're going to have copies of the comic book, you're going to have digital PDFs, whatever. But it's also, I think, important to have it tie into the content and the theme that you're working with. So for us, we're doing some Jewish themed stuff, some retail tier stuff. So I think that's what can set you apart as well, is when you really tie in those rewards tiers to make them feel like they're palpably part of the campaign, as opposed to just things you're getting because you're back in the campaign.
All right, cool. Marcus, what are you doing?
This seems like a very pertinent topic. There's some guy at WonderCon last week having a panel talking about these sort of things. So might have to call him up and then see what his opinions are. Oh, that was me.
Do a little phone a friend. Let's get him on.
So this is something that, I was talking to everyone about during WonderCon and talked to other creators about when I was just walking the floor, because yeah, there's so much out there right now. It's hard to get seen. It's been hard to get seen. It's hard to been get noticed, and have your comic stand out amongst everything on Kickstarter. A lot of it pretty good stuff too. So for us, I know what we do at Odyssey and what I kind of guide some other people who sort of fit similar molds do is just, well, first and foremost, it starts with quality. Having a quality book, quality writing, quality presentation, quality artwork, that's going to speak for itself and carry a lot of water for you. And the second is just really honing in on things that are like close to you as a creator and represent you as a person, because I think both Kickstarter and everywhere else right now is starting to be a sort of the ancillary thing is like building community like amongst that. So you got to find your crowd, you got to find your people, you got to find the people who are going to respond to your stuff most passionately, because it's something that they vibe with too. So I think when you come with a work that's like really personal and it's high quality, it's not derivative, it's not, not to shame anyone or anything like that, but it's not another Cthulhu book or, known IP or something like that, and you're bringing originality to it, you're always going to get a glance that's like, oh, I'm interested in this, and people want to do it. And for Odyssey, we get a lot of the same backers that come back and, pick things up because they know we're always trying to do something a little bit different with like every book that we have, that's really outside the norm for what a lot of people might do or publish. And that's not saying that people have to be alternative for the sake of it. If you have, kind of a standard superhero book, like that's cool, but like make it the best quality you can, give it the most care, the most attention, the most professional people you can sync out. If you got gaps in your own knowledge or ability, you need a graphic designer, a good letterer, like make sure that you leave like no stone unturned. And then pray a lot and see where that gets. But usually if you got those things going for you, you're going to be in.
The praying is another place where the religious aspect comes into
it. It's a good weekend for that, right?
Yep, it's the weekend for it.
It's on topic, right?
Yeah. This is true. So, Aaron, what are your thoughts?
So, I mean, I'm going to build on a little bit of what Alex said. Alex and I are, partners on this, and we really spent a lot of time talking together, coming up with things that we thought were, within the tone of what we're trying to do. Like Alex said, Sticks and Stones is about Jewish representation. It's about Jewish holidays, but we created it as this fun sort of Harvey Comics, Archie Comics, Sunday Funnies type of vibe, right? It's the kind of thing you would see on Hanna-Barbera. It's the kind of thing you would see if you were, picking up a newspaper. And each Jewish holiday is a little mystery, right? So the main character thinks he's solving these little mysteries over the holidays. So it's a different way of looking at the holidays. And to me, it's not just about representation. It's about togetherness. It's about what everybody has in common. And I think setting yourself apart right now from things that are out there, not like there's a lot of divisive books, but it's more like we're looking at something positive. We're bringing a joyful book that's fun. It's, families can enjoy it. Older generations will have jokes that go over everyone else's head. Younger generations will have stuff that they don't mind it goes over their head, right? And it's bringing a lot of the cartooning aspect that Alex does so well to the project. Another thing we tried to do was theme the rewards to the content, and also the campaign page. Just make everything center around what we're doing. Not that it's cookie cutter, not that we're looking at another campaign and saying this is what they did, but saying how do we want to run it? How, what kind of rewards do we want to do that are clearly us, that we think add value and are also, in theme with what we're trying to do. And you'll see that when you see the campaign launch, there are little jokes and bits and things that are just all in tune with what we're trying to do. And I think there's also something that comes with this is our, I love the team, it's me, it's Alex. Our letterer colorist on this is Ralph Singh. Our editor is Veronica Howell. This is the third project we've all worked on together. we're very much in tune. This is the first full book we're doing together, but we've done other projects, and it's just, we're humming. And I think that adds a lot to the content, that we're all aligned that way and communicate well that way. And there's also something that comes with this is, our first Kickstarter solo. So, we're just like, let's throw it all together. And I think there's a freewheel sensibility that comes with that is allowing us to just kind of try different things. And I think that'll help it stand out a little bit as well.
All right, cool. Tom, what are your thoughts, sir?
All right, I'm going to just piss everybody off. This is where everybody gets mad.
Maybe
Everything people have talked about so far is true. You can do things within your campaign and make it specific, and you can hyper niche things. That's definitely a thing you can do, is hyper niche into whatever your niche is. If you can activate those people, that can go a long, long way. But the reality is that on Kickstarter, you basically have about 6 seconds to grab somebody to click to see what's in your campaign. And that's based on your image, whatever your image is, whatever your image might say. Some people don't even put words in there. They don't put their logo or anything. And then it's whatever your title is, right? So if we're hyper niching in whatever we're talking about, you're both reducing your visibility because the people that are like, I don't want that, are just going to move on. And you're praying, we're back to the prayer, where you're praying that the people that you're hyper niching to are going to even bother to click on something. So if we're talking about what are we doing to stand ourselves apart, I don't really think that there's anything you can do in the Kickstarter sense to do that outside of, at the end of the day, make a good book, put it in somebody's hands, and then again, back to the prayer. It's always the prayer. Hope you guys like it. And then that's really where you set yourself apart is, did you fulfill the book in any sort of reasonable time? Is it a quality thing? Do they like it? Theoretically, they'll come back at that point. So the way that you, and this is sort of a wonky sort of Tetris together answer here, but there's a lot of people on Kickstarter that literally just don't even fund books. Or not, sorry, don't fund books, don't fulfill books. Like they will fund their Kickstarter for $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever, and you'll just never see the book. I keep hearing horror stories of people that are still waiting on books literally years and years down the line. So what can you do to set yourself apart from that? Fulfill your book and put it in people's hands and make them see it, make a good product. That's the bottom line, is it has to be a good product. Put it in their hands, and then hopefully they'll come back. But I don't know that you want to have a quality page when they click on it. You want to have it look right. You want them to enjoy the visuals of whatever it is you're showing them. But you got to get them into the page before they can even partake of any ounce of what's on the inside. So I don't think on the inside is what sets you apart. I think it's how you brand and market and bring people to the link in whatever capacity you're doing it, whether it's these shows or you're doing Facebook ads or whatever it happens to be. That's where you have to be able to set yourself apart and make people go, oh, I want to click on that. Because if they're not clicking on it, it doesn't matter what you did on the inside. Literally doesn't matter. Now, once you get them in, you want to hold on to them. And that's where everything that just got said comes into play. So, unfortunately, I think it all falls back to the age-old question: how are we building our audiences, and how are we marketing and branding and bringing people to either to Kickstarter, to our web store, to eBay, to wherever we're doing things? And that's always sort of the question that everybody thinks they have the answer for, but they don't always have it. Culture building in the context of like a Brian Pulido, that's super difficult. And that takes a team of people to do that over literally decades of time. And not all of us have teams behind us that are dedicated to doing that kind of stuff. So how do you set yourself apart? Make a good book first and foremost. And I think that has to be, and then the prayer that people like it.
All right, cool. Jay, what are you thinking?
Okay. Tig old bitties, right? Tits, boobs, right? Not penis, not vag, no, tits, right? You got a mouse, you put tits on it. You got the Wicked Witch of the West, you put tits on it. You got a guy with a shield, you put tits on it. Tits are gonna sell. I'm sorry. You guys mentioned Mel Brooks.
Well, that's chasing trend. That's not setting yourself apart.
No, but I mean, you guys mentioned, the guys, Aaron and Alex had mentioned. Oh no, it was Alex that mentioned Mel Brooks, right? Spaceballs, the movie, right? Merchandising, right? I mean, Spaceballs, the toilet seat cover, all of that stuff, dude. You brand it, but titty sell, guys. If you want to stand out, I'm sorry. This arena, okay, because it's not just a platform, it's not a genre, not a medium. This arena.
I'm gonna argue with you right now, though, because
I'm gonna argue with them too. So
because there's tiggle bitty campaigns that don't make money.
Listen, Tom, let him finish.
But more, all right, more than not. More than not. Yes, there's always exceptions to the rules. Yes. Do I want that to be a fact? No, it's an opinion. It's an opinion, right? It's what I see. Space. That's right. Spaceballs the movie. Spaceballs the sequel. It's in Kickstarter, just like the cliche, you can't judge a book by its cover. You have to, right? You said 6 seconds. They're scrolling. How many times do you guys scroll through Kickstarter? Right? Do you reload to get the next 2 lines of 6 images, right?
I do, but I'm a little crazy like that. So.
Right. I tap out after 2 or 3 reloads. I do, right? And then when you go to actually click on a book in Kickstarter and you come back, you come back at the top again. They don't put you back where you left off at. So that's a pain in the ass when it comes to navigating the discovery section of Kickstarter. I never see an eHarso campaign fail, and they're the Titty King. LOL.
This is true. Not just the Titty King, they also the AI King too.
Oh, really?
They love the AI.
Yeah.
But that's also Everett Harso. He's as much of a brand as Brian Polito is.
Yeah.
But we can go as niche as as we want, right? And Aaron, Alex, I reach out to you, dude. I try to push a book as a Puerto Rican lead to the Puerto Rican demographic, and it right. I had to hide the peas in the mashed potatoes, right? Put this character within a team book and sell the entirety of diversity, right? To sell the one story that I wanted to sell. I had to build around it. And it's still an uphill battle. No matter what, we come into this, as much as we love this medium, we're fighting off of our back foot. So whatever advantage you can exploit, grab it. Because everybody else is, right? And the more that they do, the further and further our projects get buried. I'm not saying that we're not creative. I'm not saying that the ideas are not original. I'm not saying that the concept isn't worthwhile and supposed to be chased, right? It's still an art form. Go for it. But when you got these titty books, whether they fulfill or not, sucking the dollars out of every other campaign. Fuck, man. Right?
So I don't think that's the case either, because people buying titty books aren't buying the Jewish book. They're not there for
There you
that.
go. That's what I was
different
gonna say,
audiences.
too.
Okay.
We're not competing. We're not competing for dollars.
Yeah.
Not me, but I don't think anyone's
Okay.
competing for dollars. If you have different projects with different audiences, different genres doing different things. I mean, the only way you're competing is if someone says, I have a budget of this much money to fund books on Kickstarter this month, right? That's the only time it'll be like, oh, do I get a fraction, or does someone get a fraction of that person's Kickstarter budget? But otherwise, those NSFW books, your Puerto Rican book, someone else's Oz or a Cthulhu book, power to them. That's where they are. If comics are proven anything, and not even Kickstarter as a platform, but if comics have proven anything, it's that individual genres exist in comics because individual genres have audiences. Superhero, romance, crime, right? Slice of life, Little Lulu. Like, it doesn't matter. There's an audience for anything. You just have to find your audience. So if your audience isn't the NSFW audience, they can have all their NSFW dollars they want.
Yeah, look at just the perfect example is a couple of years ago, not in comics, but Barbenheimer. Two completely polar opposite movies came out at the same time, and they both did $1 billion in ticket sales. So it's the trick is always to be able to, whatever audience you're aiming for, is to be able to activate that audience.
There you go. Alex, take a note. We're going to do a Jewish Barbenheimer.
The name's already right.
We're going to do Barbenheimer. It's going to be fantastic. Yeah.
So
Barbenheimer. You got to get that accent across the title.
Get it down. I feel the ideas are just going to build themselves.
Look, I'm with you guys.
Like a bomb.
Your niche, right? That target. If you can reach them, they're gonna go for it, right? But there's still that impulse shopper, right? There's still that person that's browsing out there. And how do you get their dollar? How do you do it?
I think if that person browsing sees a successful book, whether it's niche or whether it's in their genre that they want or not, they're going to look at it and go, oh, this is interesting. Or they like the image, like you said, Tom, oh, I like this image, or, oh, I like this thing. People will sample things. Yeah. And I think that's the joy of creating, introducing something new to someone who might not be trying something new. Right.
Well, and maybe it's the Gen X in me a little bit, but I also think that a little bit that comes into play, obviously, when you're doing a Kickstarter campaign, you have to think about money and, making things back and paying for creatives and such. But there's also an extent for me personally, I'm only talking for myself, where if you're thinking too much about that end, then when are you stopping creating art and starting to just do something for the money, just do something for the paycheck? It stops becoming art. And so that's something that I think is a balance that I, in my own personal work, try to strike. Because if I'm going to start doing things like drawing titties in family-friendly books just so our Kickstarter funds, then, there's some reevaluation of my own morals that I think will need to be done at that point. And I think, like Aaron was saying, you're only competing if it's sort of apples to apples. And even then, people want to buy a lot of different things. This idea that, people can only have one favorite that's the nice thing about comics is that's not how it works. They can have a lot of different favorites. And, I guess for us, we are sort of niche, but that doesn't mean that other people couldn't possibly stumble upon us. And I think that's when maybe the sort of moth to the flame sort of tactic would work in our favor. If we send them something shiny and reel them in, maybe we can get them through that. But yeah, I think for me, it's that idea of how much do I want to do to start compromising sort of my own artistic integrity. And I don't want to say that because that sounds pretentious, but it stops being fun.
It's legitimate. It's legitimate. It's not pretentious, right? And I totally understand that. Yeah. But I do remember, not even in the early days of Kickstarter, right? And prior to the pandemic, I saw one guy who's doing sketch covers of Mickey topless on the slave Leia outfit. And those sketch covers had nothing to do with the contents of his book.
Sure.
Right?
Well, I think where you're looking at, OJ, is you're looking at how can you chase money, which you talked about. You can chase money, but then the question was, how do you separate yourself from everybody? So if you assume there's 100 people on Kickstarter at some point, how are you the best out of the 100? How do you present yourself to be the best out of the 100? How do you separate yourself to be the best out of the 100? That's the hard question.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing I wanted to mention too, Tom, because it goes to that question too: how do you stand out? Now we know the glut of not safe for work content and everything like that on Kickstarter, but if you're at a hot dog convention and you have a hot dog stand amongst all the other hot dog stands and you're doing the average of what all the other hot dog stands do, and you make money and it's cool and everything like that, great. But is that standing out? Is that getting noticed truly for what you're doing and what's in your lane? But what if you have the best fucking mustard stand at the hot dog convention? It's not what everybody's doing. It's not what everybody's showing up for. It's your niche, and it's providing something that's like within the framework, but an alternative to what every other person is doing. That's not to say like people have to get crazy and think super duper outside the box for something they want to do to stand out. But it's, you know, if you're doing what everyone else is doing, it's not standing out. And once that thing starts burning down, you're going to suffer the same results of everything else. Then what are you left with? You're left with 5 years of being a titty guy on a Kickstarter. And now that phase has died out. And then where do you go? Where do you take that, you know, from there? I would not want to be like adherent to like any one particular trend. That's why we do a bunch of different stuff. Everything that we do is different. But it's like building that, we keep saying that quality, that, you know, thing that is like reflective of personally what you do. Even if you're just doing 1,500 on your campaign, 2,000, also know what success looks like for you. That's getting you funded and you're consistently doing that all the time. You're going to be fucking sweet. You're going to be like, you know, that's something that I think a lot of us, you know, experience here from time to time. And we have some L's here and there, maybe amongst that, but having at least something, even if it's small, that understanding that like you're always going to do something and it's always going to get noticed, even if it's just from your own base. That's like a good start. Now, if you could take it to the next tier, and that takes a lot of work, then you'll have nothing to worry about. You'll be, you know, consistently going out and doing whatever you need to do to get funded, like every single time. It'll stop even being a question of something that you'll do to get funded. Like the people are going to be there.
All right. That sounds good. So let me see if I can dissect this a little bit. So as far as like the niche markets, I think the niche market that Aaron and Alex are going for is a very large market.
Okay.
I think that's a very large market and untapped, especially when it comes down to Kickstarter, right? So I think there's a huge opportunity for them to really, really have a big Kickstarter, because I just looked at it real quick, and great artwork, and it looks like it's gonna be really funny. So I don't think they're gonna have an issue. You know, and to answer the question, you know, it's funny, Tom had pretty much all the same answers I had, which is good art, story, and the other one is consistency, right? If you're going to put out a series, be consistent with it. Try not to put out an annual. You know what I mean? It's not a good way to run a business. You know, try to do it 2 to 3 times a year. If you can do 4, that would be good. But, you know, consistency is important. Your fans want to see you, because I've seen it happen to other creators. They're gone for a year or 2 and people forget them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, and they have a hard time coming back from that, right? Jay, I have something, you know, it's funny, we've never discussed this, because you bring it up once in a blue moon, this character you had, this Puerto Rican character. But what's funny is, what's the name of that character?
Star Striker,
right? That's the guy with the pentacle on his chest.
Well, the upside down star.
Yeah,
right?
that's
when you turn the flag of Puerto Rico down, right, which side a sign of war, right? The star is actually pointed down, right. But when you play it, it actually hits the 5 points of the diamond on Superman's chest. And if he's following that archetype, there's pattern to that.
Right. But with a name like Star Striker, how do you know he's Puerto Rican?
Well, I was not going to go into it selling the Captain Puerto Rico title, right?
Yeah, but we do have. I do. There are other names. I have a Puerto Rican character named Fuego.
Name what?
Fuego.
Okay, but just because he's Puerto Rican doesn't mean you got to lean that hard into it, right?
But how's everybody going to know he's Puerto Rican if you don't?
Because you're going to read the story. You're going
to read the story. They're going to, like we just talked about, they're going to scroll by if they don't see the Puerto Rican element.
Right. So it comes down in the way I market the book.
Yes.
Right? It does.
Yes.
Right. So what you're saying is, unfortunately, on that particular project, it wasn't marketed as well as it could have been.
Correct.
Right. Because that's my only thing, because I know the character you're talking, because I've seen your books, right? And my only criticism is like, how would I? Because unless you tell me he's Puerto Rican, I don't know, right?
Right, well,
Unlike a
that's-
character like Borinqueña, right?
Oh.
Right? No. I know you have your issues, but we're not talking about that. But seriously, it's branded. It's on brand.
Okay.
Right.
Now,
That's what I'm saying.
but I think that is limiting itself to anybody else who could be interested, right? Does
But
I
that's
think
what we're talking about is the hyper niche, right? Like
Right.
if the Jewish book, there may be people that are like, well, I just don't do religion. I'm out. I'm immediately out. But there's also a huge Jewish population that might go, yo, I've never seen anything like
Right.
this, and activate. So,
But that's
in your
also what
case-
you need to look at too. You look at someone like Alex said, like a Mel Brooks, right, or these other, comedians or directors or whatever they may be.
Mhm.
They have a very specific sense of humor, but it's universal,
Okay.
right? It's for everybody. So
yes,
part of what you do is niche, part of what you do is not.
Mhm.
I'm a firm believer in the idea that the more specific you are in the story you're telling, the more personal you are in the story you're telling, the more universal to everybody else that story is. Because everybody can relate to a personal experience, right? Everybody can relate to a family at a holiday because everybody has those relatives, regardless of whether they're Jewish or they're Puerto Rican or whatever they might be. Immigrant families at a holiday it's all about the food and it's all about the crazy and it's all about the voice and it's all about the loud. So the specific experience feeds the universal experience, and that's what pulls people together. And if that's niche, I'm all in, because I think that's what, especially in this day and age when everyone is sort of, not cookie cutter, but when everyone's kind of seeing a success and going, I want to duplicate that success, you try to offer something a little different.
Well,
Yeah,
let me really clarify really quick here. When I say niche, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm
No,
just
I
saying
know,
that
I
like
know.
it's like even if you were to say Marvel and DC are niche, it's because there are DC guys, there are Marvel guys, and they're not going to touch anything else. So if you come out with some sort of marketing brand that's like Jewish or Puerto Rican, like you're going to turn people off immediately. But there's also that instant crowd that does exist, Puerto Rican audience, Jewish audience, that's going to go, I want this. I've never seen this movie.
Mhm.
if I can reinforce my stance and tag on to what Aaron was saying, because I like the universal concept. I wanted to, and what Caesar is saying in the comment over here, I don't come out and meet people and say, hi, I'm Caesar, I'm a Mexican. Okay.
You do that on every show, Caesar.
You're also not selling yourself as an individual. You're trying to sell a book,
right.
with
So
a certain theme.
So please let me use this example of the track that I took. All right, with the Star Striker and going with Captain Puerto Rico, right, and not utilizing that element, right? Jack Kirby, Top of the Mountain, okay, made one of the most beloved characters in all of comicdom, based on what came through some of his heritage, some of his teachings with the Golem, okay, and that is Benjamin J. Grimm, the Thing. All right, he's Jewish, right? Whenever they can lean into that with a story, they do apply it. But he's a universally beloved character, right? It's there. You love him.
But in that situation, they were just creating more characters within this Marvel universe that was happening. They didn't come in and be like, let's make a specific, like they kind of did it with the X-Men, where they're like, we're going deep into a reason for why we're making this.
Okay, right.
The Fantastic Four as a team was not like the X-Men in that sort of regard. All we're saying is that we're trying to say, how do you stand out, right? And the way to stand out sometimes is to niche down and attack a specific Jewish demographic, Puerto Rican demographic, whatever demographic, American demographic. Put an American flag on stuff, people will freak out and go buy it, right? I've had people tell me that they collect comics for no other reason than they see a playing card on the cover. Like people will collect for all kinds of reasons, but if you have a story,
Alex, you got that covered. We got playing cards on our cover.
Beautiful. So if you've got a story that niches hyper, like I know a guy who bought a house because he hyper niched his story. He had like a Lord of the Rings thing, or I can't think of specifically what it was, Scottish history or something. And he would take it to Ren fairs all the time and the shit would just blow up. And he bought a house because he was like, I'm taking this to this weird place. Like we've talked about all the time. How do we sell more stuff? How do we engage a different audience? Go to a different place where there's different people. So in this regard, like we're talking about stories, like specifically, we are telling this Jewish story. We are telling this Puerto Rican story. Yes, it's not universal. I like the universal as well. That's just kind of where I come from. I totally agree with you. But at the same time, you can activate a specific crowd that will go crazy for something if you market it right and get the word out properly. You'll be like, yeah, we lost these guys, but we gained all of these guys. And that's where you can at minimum like sort of balance it out.
Well, and I think when that is to some degree window dressing in a sense. I mean, it's still an important aspect, and especially for us with the Judaism, that's, but it's sort of when you get past that facade and like we're talking about what makes you stand out. So we're kind of leaning into that to reel them in. But then again, like the universality of everything is when we dig into the cracks, and it's like things happen in our stories, but what's happening in the quiet moments? What happens in between the gutters? What happens, in the characters' minds? And when you start kind of extrapolating that, even like in, family-friendly stuff, you're still going to hit nerves with people, with everyone. We've all been in situations where, we felt we didn't fit in, where we felt like we were maybe the outcast of our family, maybe that we were the only sane one in our family. We've all kind of experienced all those things, and it's when you get in between sort of the big events is when you get the pieces that feel lived in and feel like they come from a real place. So I think Aaron and I also, one of the big things for us is to capture that aspect of it, which is really what gives it that sort of overall sort of, I don't want to say appeal, but
identity.
Point of ingress.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
And that's what's really hard to touch on. I think a lot of creators struggle with that. So I don't think what you experience, JD, is outside the norm for some people, because it's really difficult to land on how you market that book, where you're touching on those things, you're providing those qualities, and you're communicating it through how you present it and who you present it to, and then it being too subtle to get noticed or anything like that. Like we just, and that's kind of been one of our strengths of what we do at Odyssey, right? It's one of our last books we did was goth, punk rock, inspired, emotional, supernatural, mystery or something, it's something in the YA on top of that. That is nobody that was in our audience before. It just didn't exist. But you know how to present together, you know how to distill things, right? And then it's not taking something away. It's not reducing yourself. It's like you're cooking something. You're bringing out the flavors of it that you want to hit. You just got to hit those notes for the people who have that palate. And then when you do that, and you're able to do it through your artwork, through your graphic design, how you're communicating, your copy, everything like that, you start grabbing those people. So we, blew past our expectations, and we provided a book to a whole new audience that we were able to go out there and find, and have people come back to us on the, campaign page and leave comments, just say just this concept is not like anything I'm seeing, literally, that's what they say. This concept is cool. I haven't seen anything on the Kickstarter. I'm picking it up just because the concept and what it is and what it's presented to me has sold me on it. And that's the sort of feedback you want to get. But how you get there, it takes a lot of time, and sometimes it takes going to other people too, right? Who might not have the, quite inside perspective or the know-how that you do. But going to them and, grabbing a coffee with somebody, whoever you see that are doing something, it's I want a little bit of that juice. I always tell people reach out to comic books, man. No matter where they are, at what level in the industry, if you want to get some of what they got going on, send them an email, send them a DM. A lot of times, I would say probably a good 75% of the time, people, you'll talk back to you. They'll give you some input. And I do a lot of things where I try to make time for people too, whatever they need me for, try to get back to anybody that reaches out. And that's what a lot of what it takes sometimes is we were saying this in our panel, but recognizing even with some of the stuff that I do, sometimes I'm not the best person to really hone in on it. I might need to go someone else that can give me that extra squeeze that I need to be secure and confident in how like we're approaching it and go out there and make it stand out, hopefully.
I got to throw a shout to a comment here. Caesar's like, what would have happened if Kirby's first character was Hebrew Hammer? Caesar, I'm all over that. All over it. I would.
He was a boxer. He legitimate boxer, and he wore the Funko logo, the Funko Pop logo on his on the front of his trunks.
It wasn't juicy.
What's up?
It wasn't juicy on the back, you mean, of his trunks? Never mind. We'll just move on.
Yes, good story. That's what we've said through this whole thing. Is at the end of the day, whatever you're making, it has to just be good. You have to have good art. You have to have a good story. You have to have that's the bottom line. Is at the end of the day, when you put it in their hand, it has to be
That's
good.
how you keep them.
But I mean, I've been to cons. We're talking about niching down, right? I've been to cons where I've had people walk to my booth and go, "Oh, this is really good. Are you local?" Nope, I'm from Michigan and I'm in California or somewhere. And they'll be like, "Oh," and they'll walk away. They're only looking for local people to support. Talk about niching down. Like crazy stuff happens when people are trying to buy stuff, guys. Everybody's got things in their mind that they're looking for and that they want, and it's all a niche in their brain. And you have to figure out how to open the doors to get them to look at whatever it is that you're down there. So,
Yeah, I think it's an upsell. I think, the way we're talking about niche isn't just, a certain person. It's also a genre. It's a location. It could be anything.
Yep.
Right. So, I look at it as niching up, not, and the reason why I look at it as niching up is because I think niche markets or things that are very specific elevate the conversation and elevate the art form of communication through comics, through literature, through books. You're not just talking in generalities of I'm going to get this bad guy of the week, right? Or I'm going to get this good guy of the week, right? And that's what a lot of things are. We are, upping the game by making it specific. Not us, but like in general, creators who are trying to say something within the context of their work, beyond a regular thematic approach, because you're making people think. And I think that's what ultimately turns people on, whether they want it or not. It's kind of like they might not even realize that they're reading something that's teaching them something new. But if they read a word and they don't know it and they Google it, the creators won. The creators created something that made them consider something they didn't consider before. And then maybe it changed the way people think. It's like watching Raiders of the Lost Ark and people wanting to become an archaeologist,
And then being woefully disappointed when we found out what actually being an archaeologist was.
It's not fun. There's not a lot of whips. No.
Movies are lies.
Yeah, if you want to whip, it's a different profession, and that goes back to what JD was talking about with his comics.
It sells.
that's good. I like that. Though.
That's
You're
called
right.
a callback, people. That's called a callback. All right.
The switch around to the niche up. You're right. I completely agree with you on that thought process. Yeah.
But it's something that you kind of also have to do with you have to kind of scrutinize every step, because it's very easy to go over the line one way or another, and then suddenly you're too much into the sort of gimmick of it, or it becomes a gimmick at that point, right? I think that's a line that we try to toe, one with sort of the tone of the book itself. We keep it very kind of cartoony, bouncy, upbeat, and that's sort of juxtaposed with the the mystery, the whodunit. So when you're keeping those things in mind, and you can keep it, like Aaron was saying, like niche up, you're still doing that in a very sort of measured manner, because again, like one misstep and then that's not going to work either. So
and it's not lost on me how lucky Alex and I are, because we're checks and balances for each other. We really, are able to do that, I think. Unless Alex doesn't think so, then I take it back.
No,
Well, there's a way to even do that with.
All right, this was a very lively conversation. I think we've kind of beat this horse to death at this point. But listen, this, as I always say, like, gentlemen, sticks and stones, right?
Yeah.
So, guys, talk to us about this book. What do we got?
An all ages family whodunit, man, with the Jewish Scooby-Doo vibe, Saturday morning cartoons, 80s animated features like Don Bluth, and the special spice that we're adding is a little bit of cultural Judaism just to mix it up a little bit. And so we've got these 3 Jewish holidays that we're featuring. And again, it's not even the Judaism aspect is an important part of it for us, because it makes the world feel lived in, and it makes it feel as though this is a family you can relate to. But what it's really about for us is accentuating things that connect us all, like we've been saying this whole time. So it's the large family thing. It's the being paranoid of family, as as they are a little bit. But it's all the balancing act between. And comedy is very hard. We were actually asked this question very recently on a podcast, like, what's harder to write drama or comedy? And every single time I'm going to say it's harder to be funny than it is to write drama, because actually making people laugh is quite difficult, especially in this format. So we really have to carefully plan things out, and I think we are. We have a wonderful, Aaron mentioned our editor Veronica Howell, who helps us do that and sort of keeps the trains running on time. But that's really what it is. It's a family friendly, mix, whodunit with Clue as an inspiration, and any of your favorite goofy mysteries. And I sort of say it's like a Saturday morning cartoon or a comic strip of Scooby-Doo written by Mel Brooks, to mention him again. So that's kind of the elevator pitch.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is it's a love letter. It's a comedic love letter to families, to holidays, and to just people coming together, and to have this mystery tone to it, this kind of Scooby-Doo, Archie comics, haha mystery, and Alex does so well with these characters, the design of it. It's really I think available for a lot of different people to look at. The comedy aspect of it, as Alex said, is really a tribute to the team. I'm writing the jokes and the comedy in there, and then it's up to Alex to lay it out so it lands right, and then it's up to Ralph to color it so it looks a certain way. So we really feel with the comedy aspect, and that's something that's you don't see a lot of as much anymore. Lands. Even with little tiny notes like when are you going to see a Jewish Akira cover, right? That's not going to be a thing. You're going to see a lot of other places. And then also with, even one of the panels down below, things that we reference. So if you go down a little lower, there's a funny thing with the one where it's just the cousin, a little bit lower, next page. Nope, one more, sorry.
There you go.
So on this page, the bottom. So here was a note where it was, for that last panel, it was, I wanted Ben comedically standing behind his cousin, like the Dark Knight when it was Batman standing behind Joker, only he's short. Right. And that was, Alex was able to take that and make it into this really hilarious little panel where it's just Ben's shadow behind him, whispering very non-threateningly, even though he thinks he's threatening.
Nice. I mean, so guys, obviously this is a one shot. Do you intend on continuing this? Is like this is a holiday special? You're gonna have maybe another holiday, or
Yeah, we're gonna continue. We're planning to continue it as a series. This is the first issue of the series. It's sort of something that we talked about. Wouldn't it be awesome to start with the holiday special? Because so many series, they kind of go on, and then later on it's like, hey, it's Christmas or it's Easter, right? And we thought, a Jewish holiday special would be phenomenal. It's a great jumping on point, because when's a better place to meet a family of characters versus the pressure cooker of the holidays?
Oh yeah.
Right. That's when you really see these families and these characters and who they are. And then after we introduce them at the holidays, then we can do Ben goes to the science fair, right? Or the family goes to Hawaii, like the Brady Bunch, right? We could do whatever we want. But
Right.
introducing the characters here, I think creates a great jumping on point and is really something that, we thought would be of interest to us to write, and then hopefully for others to read.
All right. Very nice. I like it, man. It looks really good. I think it's gonna be an awesome. I think it's gonna be a huge success for you guys.
Yeah.
So great looking book.
Appreciate
Really
it.
appreciate that. Thanks.
So everybody, please click that. Click that link.
Stones on Kickstarter.
Yep.
When does it go live?
We're planning for this coming week.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
So very soon.
All righty. Now, Marcus, what are we looking at here?
Yes, sir. We'll see what it comes up. This is the next book of Odyssey Comics under our Paradox Entertainment imprint. So this is Kulvaran, The Seven Hands of Death, Book 1. This is from Sebastian Grazu Martinez and Nicolas Vivoletti. This book is a really dark fantasy animation-inspired tale following the events of this world where the embodiment of death is empowering these 7 warriors, and all sorts of terrible things have happened when somebody gets power like that. One of the warriors turns against him in an attempt to take him down, and in turn ends up taking a young girl as his apprentice to train up during all this and accompany him on his mission to defeat his 6 other deadly former compatriots working for this guy and finally bring down the big bad of the story too. This is going to be a 4-part, 80-page graphic novel series. So each one will release as an oversized 8.5 by 11 hardcover. So that hopefully by the time we're all done, you give them a nice box set, and then of course we'll reprint it as a full hardcover graphic novel too. But also have a paperback value option for people who want to, back it a lower tier or maybe not have something like quite as pristine as something like that. So this one is, again, I think this is a good 2 projects to look at, because we were talking a lot about like standing out identity, how to incorporate that stuff in, and I think we're seeing it right here with these 2 things. Aaron and Alex's project. As soon as we got on the page, it was just like, obviously I knew they didn't have to tell me about basically anything involving, Judaism or anything like that. It comes through like as soon as you start looking into it. And here we're dealing with, with folklore that comes out of South America. Razu is based out of Uruguay, and the design elements of things from that cultural background are baked into the story, is dealing with that mythology, and that doesn't really have to be communicated from you. Look at it and like that flavor is like upon you immediately when you see it. Then of course we lean very hard into this like J.D. Tartakovsky, like Samurai Jack, Primals like sort of vibe to the artwork. We're doing in black and white with pops of color, but full values, everything like that, making it look really rich. And then the story is awesome too. It's got heart, it's got emotion. It's like both mature, but also something that like younger kids will be able to read too. Because it's graphic, but there's not like just disgusting things like that going on. So it's got a good swath of audience that it should appeal to. And I think this is going to be one of the more really like special projects like we put out this year. All of them are special, but this is someone that I've been super stoked to work on, and I'm like really excited to get out.
All right, cool. When are you planning on launching?
This one is probably going to be coming. We just hit pre-launch today, so it's like a couple hours ago. So it's super fresh. We got our work cut out for us, but we should be launching last week of April. Everything should be live.
Last week of April. All right, cool.
Yep.
So you said it's a limited series. Was it four books you're looking to do?
4 books. Yep.
4 books. Very nice.
And we're already actually more than halfway through the first book. And once I have the campaign up, everybody will have a 50-page preview that they'll be able to read along with it.
All right. Very nice. Very nice. All right. Listen, it looks awesome. You always pick great books to put out. So
I try.
Yeah, it looks very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
you always do a great job, man.
I'm gonna give that a follow.
Yes. So everybody, another one, please follow. So how do you pronounce the name? Culverian?
Kulvaran.
Cool.
Culveron. Okay. All right. See,
I like the logo, man. I like the title.
Very nice.
Yeah, Razi killed it. We're also Razi is also a death metal musician too, and he has a whole album dedicated to Kulvaran. That's gonna be one of the things that we'll have out. So we're doing a little bit of crossover stuff too, just another way to like bring another audience and incorporate in there. And we've already done it quite a bit. We did it LP, a couple synthwave LPs, a full LP on one of the ones that we did. And it's just given it's our audience, which we built off things like Iberian and things like that. They're gonna be ready. They're gonna gobble it up. But still, even not just relying on that, we're still trying to bring new audiences and new faces to it. Every single thing that we do it's got its own little niche they can go into.
All right, cool. So everybody, please go follow. Awesome looking book, man. Nice job.
Thanks,
As
brother.
always.
Aaron, next time around, we got to tie in some klezmer albums, man.
Oh my gosh! Now you're talking.
All righty.
Some clarinet-based jams of our people.
Yes, at the book launch party, we'll just have the band.
There you go.
There you go.
Where are you guys based out of?
Portland.
There you go.
Portland. Okay.
All right.
He's like, that explains everything.
I'm originally from New York, though. Is that
Get
where,
it
is that where
now.
you are?
There we go. There we go.
I literally saw the light bulb.
Yeah, I'm originally from the East Coast, so I'm a transplant.
That's true. Aaron is from the East Coast, so half of us is still okay.
50% is a good batting average.
It could be worse.
There you go. Tom, what are we looking at here, sir?
So this is our yearly anthology called the BD 16 anthology, but this year we're switching it to the Ozthology because it's our 15-year anniversary for The Legend of Oz, The Wicked West. So all three of the stories this year are expansions of the Wicked West main series that we're doing. So it has 3 stories in it. Each of them are 10 pages apiece. Each one has multiple new characters that have not appeared in the regular series. The first story is Overman Anu and the Invisible Bears of Vo. The Glass Cat is the second story. And the Silver Princess of Oz is the third story. And Silver Princess is new to Oz, as is her sort of conflict with the Witch of the North, which we've never had in the original series as well. We've talked about her a few times, but this is where she'll appear for the first time. So that is the Silver Princess and her horse. All of it's based on L. Frank Baum's books as our foundation, but then, thrown into our Western blender. So instead of, with Dorothy, instead of ruby slippers, Dorothy has ruby spurs, ruby bullets, Toto's her horse. That's the sort of shtick that we do with our Western reimagining of Oz.
Yeah.
Cool.
So this has been like our gateway drug ever since we released it 15 years ago. Everybody understands what Oz is, even if they don't know what our Oz is. So we've been to Oz shows, all over the place. We get invited to the New York Oz Extravaganza every year. This will be my 13th straight year as a guest there. So I'm looking forward to getting back again. The omnibus books are supposed to be in my hands very, very soon. So as soon as we get the bound books, we'll show those to you guys, but they're on the way. That's the omnibus right there. We're supposed to have those very, very soon from our printer. If you are new to the series, you can grab that omnibus. There are catch-up tiers for some of the issues, the trade paperbacks, pretty much anything you need to dive all the way in if you need to. Also, there's digital. So if you're a digital collector or if you're overseas and you don't want to spend hundreds of dollars on shipping, we get it. All of this is available digitally too. So there's a digital all-in pack, physical all-in pack, all that kind of stuff. There's fancy covers if you like the really fancy stuff. There's foils, there's metals. And then, of course, we have our Big Dog Ink universe stuff that if you want to try out other books, we can include Critter and Ursa Minor and Iron Butterfly and all kinds of other stuff into your rewards pack. So you can try out all the Big Dog Ink stuff.
It's a must. I get that and Karu covered because she's an.
Oh yeah, and Karu is
we're doing a book with her coming out later this spring. So.
Yeah, and Karu is amazing. I saw that art and I was just like, holy God, I need that. So they did that Scarecrow cover. First time artist with us, and Karu. First time artist Pablo Munoz on The Witch. First time artist throughout the entire book itself. Sergio Rios, Samir Samau, Sean Lee,
They killed it. Looks
Donnie
great.
Hadiwijawa. This is an all new book, like almost cover to cover all the way through. So it's really beautiful. Asher B on the Glass Cat cover. Just a great, mix of Oz stuff. And it's really all new, like all the way through. All these characters, all these stories expand on the series. So we're celebrating Oz all year long. So we did our first campaign in January. If you missed that, there is still a, what do they call it? I can't remember what they call it.
What?
The still taking pledges, late pledges. There's late pledges that you can get on that from January. The next one will be launching like the end of July, early August, once I get back from San Diego. But we have this one in the meantime, and you can try out pieces or you can dive into the whole thing.
All right, very nice, very nice. So how many days you got left, Tom?
I think it said 10. So it's basically going to be like a week from Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got
Look
10
at
days?
that. Look, Calderon, you notice something? You notice something?
What?
On his campaign yesterday, when he was on my show, he was in the upper 6900s. Now he's at 7114. You know why?
It's because he streamed
This
through my
guy
channel
showed
while
right
you were on
here.
your show. Yeah.
Showed him off.
Yeah, that's true.
Listen, books that come on my show end up in demand when they're on my show, baby. All
So
right,
long
I
as
made my man some dough, bro. I made my man some dough. You guys
So
want
long
to
as
make
they
dough for
stream through my
Sticks and
channel, yeah.
Stones? Come on through, bro. Come on through. All right. I was shit. Karusha? Is that? I'm sorry.
What?
How do I pronounce it, Marcus?
Kulvaran.
Kulvaran. There we
We're
go.
so close.
So close. So close. So close.
Come on through, baby. Your book goes on demand. Look at that money Tom made because of my show. Damn it.
Wow.
So Daphne's question, how do you decide what parts you're going to use from the movie as opposed to the books, or is it all source material? It's all books, Daphne, because the movies are not public domain. So we can throw in little Easter eggs, little nods to the movies, but we can't be like deep. Like that's why there's no. Well, that's not why there's no reason to have ruby slippers in the Wild West. But the ruby slippers, for example, are owned by MGM. No one can do ruby slippers. Even when they did ruby slippers, when Disney did it with Return to Oz, Disney had to pay up the butt to be able to use the ruby slippers. Yeah, because those are trademarked IP by MGM.
That was the one with Feruza Balk?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you be sued? Would you be sued if you did ruby shit kickers?
Well, that's why we have spurs and we use the bullets, and because people ask me, well, why didn't you just do silver like the original book? I'm like, because silver spurs is lame. Like there's no fantasy to that. So we stuck with the ruby. We just modified the use of it, and so all of our witches have jeweled pistols and so on. So the Witch of the West has the onyx, and Glinda of the South has the sapphire. Witch of the North has the diamond, and then they all have their own individual powers that these things can do too. So so everything for me comes primarily from Baum, from the books. I read all the books before I started writing this thing. I wanted to have everything that I did to be sort of foundationally on what he created, and then instead of just adapting it book by book, because he wrote 14 books, we just kind of treated it as like, okay, all of this exists, it's all here, it doesn't matter in what order it appeared in his books, and we can kind of pick and choose the pieces that we want to use to tell our story within sort of his bullet points. Like we know we're doing the search for Ozma, battle with the Gnome King, but we weave in and out of his sort of bullet points to tell our own story through his kind of foundation.
All right, cool. So another 10 days. Everybody go check it out. Go pick up some Oz. Very nice. Tom,
What?
where the hell's my omnibus?
I just literally just said.
No.
Literally just talked about it.
I just want mine.
So do I.
The worst
So
kind
do
of
I.
backer. Where's Cut?
So do I.
Oh, Bergs, come on. Come on, Bergs.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Laser
The Legend of Oz Laser Blast crossover will be coming in 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. We might even do an Oswald laser blast.
Oh, wow.
If we can get a hold of that one. Jay, you're up.
Yes, I'm up. Okay. How do you keep the lights on long enough to tell the story you have to tell? So how do you stay in business long enough? How do you make sure you have the money to go from finishing issue number 3 to issue number 4 of your story? What do you got to do to keep it going?
Marcus, you're up, sir.
This is a good one for us because what we do is just don't pay anybody. We just put that. That's all it comes down to.
Very cost effective. I love that.
But for us, it's a little bit different because our model is different. So I tend to work with a lot of creators who are we do a lot of passion projects, man. And that's kind of what we build everything off of. I find that people who have something they're just really dying to make, it looks great, or even sometimes we bring them aboard, like say, like, hey, we just, like you as a creator, like let's do something together. I'm 100% positive we can work and find something, develop something uniquely within the Odyssey system, and then we just get it out there. So, a lot of it is helped because I'm slightly a little bit of a polymath when it comes to making comics. So whether it's letters, design, formatting, anything like that, like outside of the core artwork that we need, I don't have to pay anybody for basically anything because that is all on top of me. So and I'm able to do it at a quality enough level to where it's hard at this point in time when I don't want to do something, finding someone that can like match the level of care and design and everything that I put into it. So that already alone just takes our overhead down like $1,500 on every project that we do. So when we're doing something new with someone, we know exactly how much we could get in for. After doing so many campaigns and having so many different types of projects that we put out there, I can calculate within a couple $100 of what a campaign will do and how things will get dispersed and everything like that. If we need to scale a project down a little bit, play with the formats, how we release things, we also do that. So for us, it was like finding the most like economic means, not just of doing things, but also I'm working with things where, by and large, like I'm not paying I'm getting stuff out there. I'm selling books, and as a publisher, I'm making money off of that. But everything is going, as much as I can get to the creators is going to the creators. And that's usually a situation that, of course, like keeps them happy. So they'll keep putting out the books, as long as they have basically a guarantee that we're going to fund the Kickstarter, no matter what we do. And then the times I have to cover gaps and do as they'll come up, and it's tough, but that's the nature of the business that we're in. Just make sure you're in a situation where you don't have to eat your shirt. You're not overcommitting to something that you probably won't be able to do, and it's out of scope for the audience that you have. Like I know that if I have a book that needs $3,000 to get it done and make it a reality, I know I can do that. If I need a book that's going to need $15,000, it's probably out of my scope and I can't do it. Maybe we need to break that down into smaller releases, whatever the case may be. And we sort of have found this format that works for us. So as floppies are becoming like a tough thing, especially one-shots are still doing great, but it's hard because so many people have been burned on just exactly what we're talking about. You get the 1 out, maybe you get the 2 out, maybe you get the 3 out, but your 10-page magnum or 10-issue magnum opus that you have planned, it doesn't happen. And there's a lot of number 1s in Indy Comics that don't have number 2s for that reason. So what we've been doing is we sort of get to a level where we have like 2 things all ready to go. We've been playing with this format of like releasing these 48-page to like 80-page like chapters. So instead of getting like a regular floppy comic, you're essentially getting 2 to 3 floppies in like paperback or hardcover. This hardcover's been going fucking crazy for us. It's a whole audience that we found that we brought in now. And I can pump like $30 hardcovers to people versus having to manage cheap floppies, covering all of that gap, raising what our ceiling is in terms of what we can do with a campaign. And that becomes even more lucrative and more easy to get stuff done. So now if I have a 4-issue series that I need to get through, I just did 2 campaigns and it's over. You know, if, you know, like with this case with Garaza, we could work and grind and try to get, you know, $25,000 to do the full Rahan campaign for. I could break it down into 4. Know that that's within easy, like, earshot of what we typically do on the campaign. That's like our basement, pretty much like our floor. So those are going to get done in certainty. So we come out with 1, we'll do, you know, 2 and 3 and 4, and then that's done. And then you can sort of like reheat your nachos too and do extended stuff. Because it's like, oh, we did that. Now you can get them in a box set. Or now we could do a campaign that's just for, like, you know, the omnibus or like the full graphic novel. And there's different people that will pick up every single one. Some people will love the box set. Some people will love just having the full thick book. And there will be people that move across all of them, and they'll want like every format that it comes into. And that's where it becomes really cool, because you're just, you know, you covered the production already, so you're just really just bringing in like extended, like pure profit basically at that point in time. So really playing around with that format, being flexible with who you work with and how you do things, and then of course like making sure that you did all your number crunching properly beforehand is going to help make those like a lot easier.
All right, cool.
I want to touch on something too. Daphne Lage Art said something in the comments about, I don't remember the exact comment, but it was about having a job. You know, part of the question was, how do you keep the lights on when you're creating these comics? Part of that is getting a job. And I think that's a part of our industry that's often not talked about enough. It's like, this is how a lot of your favorite creators continue to do what they do. The percentage of creators who actually do, you know, create for a living, and that's all they do, they don't need any outside funding, is a very small percentage. So there's absolutely no shame, and because there's this, like, you know, prevailing and pernicious thought that if we have a day job to supplement what we're doing creatively, that somehow we're a failure and we haven't succeeded, and that's absolute garbage. So I want to make sure that we touched on that, because it's a great point.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's also the other side of that coin where people think that if you're making money on Kickstarter, you're scamming people. It's like, oh, I made my book and I paid my electric bill too, and they're like, well, why the fuck did you do that?
Yeah.
I've finished campaigns and then gone to Disney World, and I'm like, I don't even want to talk about it online, because I'm like, they're gonna like, you just took the funds and went to Disney World. What the hell? You know, I'm like,
was that not one of the reward tiers you added, JD? No. Send my family to Disney World?
Yeah. It should be.
We do have to do things that, you know, we deserve to be rewarded for our artwork too. And yeah, some people are like, oh, you made a profit. Like, yeah, you should ideally try to make a profit if you're doing something. If it's a few $100, hey, it's a few $100.
Profit. What the hell is that?
Plumbers, teachers, postal workers, like, they all use their money to take vacations with their family. Yeah. What we are doing is a vocation. Why is it frowned upon when we use some of that money we've allocated for, like, you know, things that are that give us pleasure? It's like, treat yourself. Why not?
Nobody goes to a fine art gallery and see that, like, painters are selling their paintings and be like, oh, you're so
yeah, look, I got an entire iced coffee that I got right here.
Look at that.
Huh?
Look at it. You're spending money.
So
you don't even have
a
on
comic and
yet.
bought a coffee. That's crazy.
Didn't even launch yet, and I'm like already getting the iced coffee.
You're in the
He's
hole.
so sure of himself. He went to Starbucks.
He's spending our chickens before they're hatched.
Sorry, Alex. I'll get you one next time.
I like to buy a car every time I finish a Kickstarter. I just pick up a new Matchbox, like $2 at Walmart. Brand new car.
There you go.
Why not?
All right, cool. Well, Alex, I know you jumped in. Do you have anything else to add, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. So for Aaron and I know we sound, you know, very self-assured and authoritative, but like, this is our first campaign. We don't know what the hell we're talking about for the most part. Now, I will say with the caveat that we also have learned a lot, and we've done a lot of research, and especially, you know, Aaron, and we're working with a couple of people who really know what they're doing too. Shout out Joey Galvez, who is, you know, slogging through this with us. So you're a champ. Yeah, but I think so for us, it was a big learning experience. And so it's like, this is the introduction to get to the next one for us. So as far as making money, keeping the lights on, that kind of thing. I think we're focusing more on getting to the next one, which was the other part of that question, because for us, that's the ultimate goal, is to get to the next book. And obviously on any kind of crowdfunding campaign, money is a part of that equation. So, we're certainly shooting for a specific amount, but I think we were also pretty pragmatic with the way we went about it, kind of, knowing where we are in this industry and, setting realistic goals. And I think those are important things to do. We know what we can bring in and we know where our limits are. And so those are important for us to factor into. But, we've got some cool things, some cool rewards tiers, some cool variant covers that I think will pull in different fan bases as well. So yeah, for us, I think this is the bridge we're trying to build to get to the next book. That's kind of the main, and the lights we'll let our spouses worry about for now.
I'm just saying, I just have everyone turn the lights.
Shooting, by the way.
I just have them turn the lights off.
Yeah, well, there you go.
The lights,
Do we own PG&E, Aaron? Yeah. Do we own PG&E?
Do you have to have the bathroom light on? No one's upstairs. No one's upstairs right now. Come on, you guys. Let's just turn them off.
Just a big boy night light.
Yeah, just the ones that if you walk by them, they turn on. I agree. They still have that, Alex?
Yeah.
Do it. Yeah.
I'm an analog guy, man. No smart lights for me.
Alex and I, just to jump in on that, on the same thing, we're kind of lockstep on where we are with how we think about things and how we're trying to kind of get this together. This is the first, like you said, the first one that we're doing together, that we're launching out. We're looking to do more shticks. We have another, a YA sort of graphic novel that we're batting around, so these types of projects, we're kind of seeing this as, in that way, to that regard, in terms of, being able to fund it and keep lights on in a, saying capacity, is we're just keeping it simple. We're just trying to keep it focused on the book. We're focused on, this is the story. We're going to make it amazing. It's going to be something everyone's going to want to be a part of or like or read, or we just want to create something good. That's really good. That,
and then still post about, and then we'll still get it.
Yeah. And we'll push it out, but, to create that and then keep the rewards, in the vein of that, so not going, on this particular campaign, not going overboard with tchotchkes and other things, but keeping it, we have sketches and we have covers and we have things that make the book grow, right, even more. And so we've sort of simplified that, and I think that's kind of a tactic we're using to try to, keep things streamlined from the financial perspective as well.
All right, cool. Tom.
Yeah, it's you got to sell your book. I mean, that's the bottom line. Honestly, you got to sell your book. You got to have a book that can sell, that you do sell, that will make you money, whether it's Kickstarter funding or whether you're at a con or whether you got a website. You have to make a book that's going to sell. Now, certainly you can have, like everything's been talked about here, you can have a job that helps fund all of that, of course, but there's only so much. If the book isn't selling, there's only so much money you're going to want to keep shoving into something that's not working. You have to be able to say, you know what, that is not working anymore. So we're going to stop putting money into that thing, unless you're just happy for that vanity press, which is a thing. People just are like, well, I just make a thing. It doesn't matter how much it costs. I just want to make sure it gets done. But at the end of the day, you have to have a product that sells, a book or a movie or TV or whatever you're doing. It has to sell. But you do what you need to do to pay those bills. Get a job, live a lower standard of living to some degree. I mean, like for me, I don't wear, there's no jewelry on me. I don't wear watches. Like I'm not buying cars and taking trips. I'm not going to Disneyland, Calderon. It's even
Disney World, sir. Right? I'm just saying, right?
Probably 50% of the clothing that I wear now, I had 10 years ago. So I don't like buy clothes all the time, and I live a lower sort of standard of living in that context, which allows the money to kind of, whatever I do make, to kind of pay the bills and then go back into the comic books and And then we've been lucky enough that our campaigns generally pay for themselves anyway. So we kind of get that general sort of, okay, yep, money, put it into the next one, money, put it in the next one. And we're starting to get further and further ahead in that regard so that we can fulfill faster as well. So that's always good. But it's really just do what you need to do to make the thing that you're making. If that's a 9-to-5 job, if that's a part-time job, if that's stop eating at McDonald's every day, to put an extra couple $100, every couple of weeks into your account, whatever it is, just find a way to scrimp and save as best you can.
Living that Joe Matt lifestyle, man.
Yeah, I mean, Alex, Aaron, Tom is just trying to show himself to be humble. That man owns a lake, so don't I'm just saying, he owns a lake. So he's trying to show some humility. I'm just
well, if you never buy new clothes, you have lake money, I would imagine.
That's what I'm saying. Lake clothing is very minimal. A couple of pairs of shorts, a couple of t-shirts.
Just don't jump in the lake. Don't jump in the lake with your clothes on, because it'll ruin them real fast, and then you'll have to get new clothes.
Well, that's what he's saying. He doesn't need much for that.
And he wears high top flip flops in the wintertime. I mean,
no, they're not high tops. They're fur lined.
Oh, fur lined flip flops.
Yeah,
much better.
Yes,
that's
a joke.
All right. So, wow, how do I even go about this one? Like I said, the way I run my business, or my very expensive hobby, as I like to say, is all right. You have to start off with a large sum of money, or reasonably large sum of money. Gather a bunch of art from various artists, stockpile it, and then start doing Kickstarters. And then you cycle through that money over and over again. So that the initial investment is X, and then you just have to keep getting that money back, and then just keep reinvesting it back into the business, right? Because like I said, whatever I get, I put back right in. So it's and the thing is, my campaigns do make a profit. I joke a lot about it, but but whatever I make, I put right back into it. And it look, I just got back my 8th trade paperback, right, on the Oswald Chronicles. Magi's Grace is running out. It's gonna have its first trade paperback. I'm running another title called Dreamweavers. That's gonna hopefully run its course, and I'll get another trade for that. But yeah, I mean, it's a thing of I started off, like I said, with a decent amount of cash. I just got lucky at some point. I owed somebody $5,000, and they just didn't collect the money from me. They were like, yeah, whatever. Right. And because of that, I took those funds, and most people, they put in their 401k plan, or they buy a car, or they go on vacation. I was like, let's make a comic book. And that's what I did. So and what I did was I just used that money, and I just sold the book. And by continuously selling the books, I just generated more cash. And by generating more cash, I just put it back into the business.
At the very beginning, I thought you were going into that old joke, like, how do you make a small fortune in comics?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Start with a big fortune.
I started off with a very, 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 very small fortune. So
you know what, Mazel, good on you, bud.
Yeah. That was a buddy of mine. He I had to pay for something that he had done for me, and he quit the company and deleted all the files, like all of the receipts, because he hated another manager. So I went to go pay this sum, and they were like, had no records of the transaction, nothing. And I was just like, oh, okay.
That's good. This might have made us all accomplices.
Yeah, I know. But it was a long time.
I believe that's called fraud, JD.
I don't have anything to do. I didn't do it. I went to go pay. They had no record of it. None of my business. But it happened a long time ago. The statute of limitations ran out.
There you go.
There you go. Jay, up to you, brother.
Yeah, I got nothing. I'm looking for answers. I need help.
You sell Galactus. That's step one.
Galactus is not going anywhere, bro. That's it. He stays right where he's at. I just, I want to see how people are doing it. Because yes, I am one of those 9 to 5ers. I will never deny that. And
Shouldn't.
I've hated it every day for the
You
last
should.
22 years, right? I felt I every morning I get up like that old Dunkin' Donuts commercial. Remember the guy would sit on the edge of the bed? It's time to make the donuts, right? That's me every fucking day. Every day. I would have killed, right? Would have killed to be making books full time my entire life. But it's afforded me a pension. It's afforded me the ability to say, a couple of years, I'm done. I could check out, and I don't have to worry about a check coming in. Right? I've paid my dues. That's in there, and now I can pick and choose whatever book I want to do. Right? And release it when I want to, because I've got a way to keep those lights on. Right? And when I say release it when I want to, it's not the image way, release it when I want to. It's make sure that it's released when it's ready, when it's got the polish on it, when it's got that shine. Yeah, but I was just hoping that somebody had a fucking cheat code out there or something.
Cheat code's the lottery. That's a cheat code.
There you go. Still trying to crack that one.
Thoughts between winning the lottery and becoming like a superstar creator are essentially the same, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Go for broke. We're spending money on this. Let's spend money on a little.
I think you got a better chance at winning the lottery. The odds are in your favor getting a $5,000 hit or something.
You're probably more likely to win the lottery, really.
Yep. Tom, you're up, sir.
Oh, I got no questions. You got no questions.
Tom, good job again.
No,
good job.
No questions. No questions.
You got nothing. You got nothing. You got
No questions, Your Honor.
All right.
The defense rests.
You're lucky I got you covered.
I know you do. Get the Rolodex.
Yeah, I guess this is a softball one. How are you dealing with finding new talent to work with?
It's not
right. So how do you guys? It's a softball question.
It's not a softball question.
Luckily, you're old.
So
talent.
Alex, there you go. So how do you go about finding new talent or old talent?
Yeah, I mean, Aaron found old talent with me. So like we had a buddy, Tom Wolf.
Tony Wolf.
Tony Wolf. Oh my God, how did they?
Apparently a better buddy than me.
Parent brain. Tony Wolf. He does Views from Greenpoint. He's worked with Cosmic Forge Line. He's done a bunch of things. Anyway, he's
super talented guy.
Super talented guy. And so we just got lucky with that introduction in that way. But I think conventions are still a big way, even though it's sort of thought of as old school. I'm sure you can. A lot of people recruit on social media, and that's all well and good. But I think for me, the thing with social media is you see things that they post. You don't know how long it took them to do that. You don't know how many times they had to redo it. It's like, and when you're doing a comic book specifically, you need somebody who can produce and can produce it in a relatively short amount of time, a lot of the times, if you're going to work professionally. So I think conventions are still a good way to do that, because you can talk to people. You can see what their process is like. You can see if your process jibes with theirs. So it's still, I know a lot of the conventions lean into Hollywood and movies and toys and all of the different facets of fandom at this point. But when you dig through all of that, there are still some pretty good trade shows happening, and you could still make some really good connections with other creators, editors, publishers, whatever your sort of aim is in networking. So I still think the meetups, or the in-person stuff, is still a good way to go. There's no online dating for creators quite yet. So until somebody maybe that's a new idea for a site, who knows? But I still think that the in-person stuff, for me personally, is a way to gauge that and find new people. and I've screeched the conversation to
Does Calderon
Was
know?
that-
Is he here? Is Calderon still here? Or no.
Was there a record scratch?
He is absolutely in the
Yeah, I don't know.
bizarro universe
I
right
think
now.
I'm my machine is freaking out.
No, you're good. You're back.
That
It's
happens
Aaron's,
to me
it's Aaron's
sometimes.
turn. I'll take
happens
over
to
now.
me. I
JD,
get
don't
stare
worry.
at
Aaron, go ahead. What do you got for us?
Oh, we lost
Oh
him.
no.
Whoops.
It's okay.
Oh,
We know
Jake's
topic.
gonna
We can
miss-
keep it going. We can keep it going.
Yeah.
What would we do without him asking Tom to ask questions?
Oh
Aaron,
man,
you have a
I'm
different-
gonna be
you
dropping
have a different
nuggets, and
answer than
JD's gonna miss
Alex?
them all.
And here come the titties. No.
So your catchphrase can use a little workshopping, maybe. I don't know. I
I told him I would do this, and I don't want to let him down. So hire Joey Galvez if you're ever in
There
the
we go.
market for somebody to design your Kickstarter page.
Okay. Way to go, Joey.
Yeah.
marketing for
shout out
Joey.
there,
Go
brother.
Joey. He's the best. So what are we talking about?
How do you get new artists?
So like Alex said, I was introduced to Alex through a friend who's an artist.
Not
and
named
writer,
Tom
so-
Wolf.
Named Tony Wolf, and his illegitimate twin brother Tom.
God, I hope he passes.
So what I still find that the best way, and I've met a lot of artists and other creators through artists and other creators. I feel like there's a litmus test to that you don't always get at cons or other places where it's not just, wow, I love this person's art, but it's kind of like if you have a friend of a friend, you might likely get along with that person because you're friends with A, and so B's kind of goes along. So it's sort of like it's that culture and that relationship. And I know a lot of people can turn out a lot of work and a lot of creations and a lot of projects, but it takes time, and you're going to be living with this person and creating something and working together for a while. So meeting through a mutual friend or another artist who you get along with and who you trust, I feel is a great way to meet new
Vetting
creators.
process.
Yeah, it's like a pre-vetting without vetting.
Yeah.
And just 20, and then
Hey, we're Jewish.
so that's been great. Sometimes online, but I take it offline. So if it's on a Discord or on some other sort of social media platform like IG or whatever, we'll go into the chats, we'll talk, we'll figure something out, and kind of go from there. And cons have been great for that also, like Alex said, meeting other artists at cons. But I'm a big believer in creating a stable of people and creators that you love to work with repeatedly, and you continue to work with them repeatedly as much as you can, because why break it? Right? You have something that works that really, really well, or you complement each other. And I think there's nothing better than than a company, right? Than a theater company. And I think there's a lot to be said for that, and finding that. And the other collaborators, like Ralph, who's our colorist, who's amazing. I met him through Kubert School. So we were in a class together, and that's where we met, and we've been working on stuff since. So, that's also workshops and things like that are also great places to meet people.
And we've been together now for 40 years.
And that's it. Same at the beginning of when Harry met Sally. We'll be like on a couch.
Yeah. That's our origin.
Do you remember Tom? No, it was Tony. No, it was Tom.
Shh. We don't talk about Tom. Not the Tom here. Obviously, we can talk about him. I'm talking about him as though he's not still in the chat.
Definitely. Always talk about that song. All right, Marcus, what are your thoughts?
It's pretty easy. You just stalk people. That's what I do. It doesn't have to be loud. It's like gang stalk. You follow them, look at them from the shadows. But that's essentially what I do, like online, like whether it's Facebook, whether it's Reddit, Instagram, DeviantArt, Behance, like wherever people are sharing their artwork, sharing their work, I am in there, and I'm scoping, and I'm looking, and I'm watching, and keeping them in mind. And I build a little profile of people. I get their names, their contacts, everything like that down. And I check up on them periodically. So I'm not just like, oh, that was cool. I'll come back in 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, see what they're doing. Of course, being a publisher, I get tons of submissions. So people just every week, every day, just about, people are sending me their portfolios and their work. So I don't even have to really go out and do everything, but I really, like, I want to see the people that are like making me feel something. That's what I'm looking for. Like, whether it's their style, their artwork, something that they're working on, doing things like that, building connections. I'm pretty active in the fine art and the educational art spaces here in Southern California. So I'm actually meeting people in person. I'm seeing them in drawing classes or instructions that we're doing. They come to me at conventions, like cons, just like Allison. That's a huge thing. Get to meet them in person, get to see what they're about. I take the time to, get to know people. I'll just go have coffee with people. We'll grab something, talk about comics, talk about stuff, things that they're working on, like wherever I can crawl in and get into someone's ear or see their work and have like serious, like meaningful conversations about stuff. I'll do that. So that a lot of times, like, I will either get a submission from someone I was already have been tracking like this and staying in contact with, and knowing that, like, when they're ready and they got something that they think is like, Marcus is gonna fuck with this, they'll go ahead and bring it over and we'll start doing it. So like it's almost part of my development process as a publisher is like the creative outreach. Because a lot of times I'm not going like, oh, I got this brilliant idea, I need to go hire an artist to do it. I'm finding the people who I think are already brilliant. And I'm saying that when we collaborate on something, like I'll hire you for, variant cover and stuff like that. That's typically how the relationship starts to build. But like I have a really like uncanny sense of people that like, I know they're going to do something good. Maybe not now, maybe not next year, but they're going to do something. Like one young lady that I'm working with and we'll do a campaign with, I've been following her work for like 4 years, knowing that like if she keeps on the path that she's on and she makes that leap, that I'm going to be there with waiting arms to bring her in. And that's exactly what happened. And I'm really proud of how that like collaboration is growing and coming out. And then build connections up, like ask someone to pick, like if I wanted to go out and get like on our next campaign, get an Alex Maleev cover, I can do that. You talk to even like the big pros and the agents and the things like that. Like, so whether it's someone who has never done a comic book before or like, a veteran that has done tip top stuff at, any of the big publishers and stuff, like they're all within my reach depending on what my budget is. Obviously, certain people typically fall outside the purview, but not all the time, but sometimes I'm able to bring them in. And then really just thinking, I probably spend like 5 hours every week on just the creator stuff, creator contact, creator relationships, outreach, like all that creator centric stuff is a huge part of like my schedule. So a lot of things that you see come out of Odyssey, they're not because like they're accidental or had the idea for something I brought for something. I've been building this like little secret cabal, like cult of like people that I work with. I would say probably like 65 creators strong now, internally at Odyssey, and then that shortens the contact too. Now I'm at the point where we're shifting sorts of creative studio rather than a publisher. So if like Big Dog Inc. wanted to get a certain type of book done, and you say like, hey, Marcus kind of like does this sort of thing. Usually I'll kick it over to him. I'll say like, yeah, I got all this list of all these. Now I can give you a whole creative team that could fit that vibe that you want to do, and we'll get it done. And they're pros and they're good, and like you won't have any issues with production, no bickering, like nothing like that. It's just going to be a sweet, easy process because I've been buttering them up for 36 months. We've gotten that a relationship with them, and then it's helped them with everything else they're doing for everyone else too.
Yeah, I think that the finding artists, that's the easy part. They're everywhere. They're everywhere, people. The hard part is finding the people that are serious about it. Yeah. Because even if they're good, it doesn't mean they're serious about making a comic. Particularly when you're talking about interior folks. Almost anybody will just do you a cover, and that's it take them 4 or 5 days and they're done. They're out. They're on to the next job. But to be like, hey, I need interiors for this book. I need interiors for this series. I need you here for so many issues. Blah blah blah. So many pages. All of a sudden, that becomes a job to artists, and they're like, oh my god, I don't know if I can do all of this, even though you've been talking to them about doing it. Just in the last 4 months, I've had 3 artists back out on me, just as they were supposed to start a book. Interior people. Go back into last year, not including those 3, I had 2 more drop out of me just as they were about to start a book. So you can watch people, you can make sure that they're who they say they are, number one, because now we live in a world where people will just post Jim Lee's art and say, hey, this is what I do. So you gotta vet a little bit, pay attention to that. That's where the convention comes in a little bit more handy, because if they're sitting at their table representing what's on the table, you have a much better sense that this is legitimately them, at least, you know, from a quick look standpoint. And you can talk to them directly. Hey, I'm doing a thing. You want to do a thing? And you can kind of get a sense quickly, like, yeah, these guys are game, or no, they're just here to make prints and, you know, fan art and whatever. So that's the hard part, is just finding the people that are serious, that are going to stick with it, that aren't going to jump ship in the middle of a project because somebody pays them a little bit more, because that happens too. It's like, hey, you know, I know I've done 3 out of these 5 issues, but these guys are going to pay me $50 more a page, so I'm out. Like, Jesus Christ, guys! Like, do not ever believe that there is loyalty in this business, because as soon as someone throws another extra, you know, 0 somewhere, they're going to at least say, hey, I got this offer, can you match it? You know,
or some larger publisher comes in and be like, hey, we like this person that you're doing, and bye.
Yeah. And to the artist, like, to them, I'm not going to be like, hey, look, I know I'm Big Dog Inc. If Dynamite wants you, or, you know, some more named brand wants you, like you get to work on Vampirella or something, I get it. Like, that's clout for you. You get to add that to your resume. But I would hope that at the minimum, you would finish what you're doing with the small publisher, so that you're not hanging them out to dry. You know, even if it's just, okay, it's 5 issues and I've done 3. Okay, I'm doing 2 more and I'm out. Just tell them that. But that's the hard part. I think that's really the hard part. And it's really difficult to figure out, especially when you're beginning. If you're not doing it with your friends, like, hey, let's make a comic book together. If you're literally reaching out to people and trying to hire them, especially if they're out of country and you're not meeting them at cons and stuff, it can get really difficult and really tricky and really frustrating. You know, I've told the story before with my first book, Critter. I hired 7 people to draw 1 issue, and they all flaked at some portion of the beginning of starting the book. And then Jose Luis finally came in and did the whole book, and then subsequently was picked up by DC, and, you know, he was off to the races. So, but at least he finished the book. That's all. I was like, I need this issue, and he was like, fine, I'm in. I'll finish it. So yeah, I you know, I'm on Facebook a lot of art groups, go to cons a lot, talk to people in Comic Cons, you know, anywhere people are posting their stuff. Just do yourself the favor of watching them for a while, look through the samples closely, make sure you're not seeing too much variation and stuff. People do have different styles. That's a real thing. But like, there was one guy who was drawing like some manga type of stuff there was some American style, but mostly kind of manga, but it was kind of all over the place with different types of manga stuff. But there was one page that he posted, I was like, that's what I want. That is exactly what I want. So I posted, I said, hey, if you can do that consistently, I have a job for you. And he was like, well, what are you talking about? These are my samples. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but like, they're all different. If you can do that consistently, I want that. I have a job for you. And dude was like, well, that's a red flag, and I'm not interested in talking to you. And I'm like, are you sure I have the red flag, sir? Because you just broke down when somebody asked you if you could do something consistently. So like, nope, never mind. You know, so that's it. Just be careful. Just be careful with your artist search is my sort of recommendation.
Well, and it's funny that you mentioned the catfishing, because when Aaron first asked me for art samples, I just sent him like 3 Jim Lee pages.
Yeah, of course.
But it worked because he
and I think that becomes a really important, and I'm glad you brought that up, Susan, because like, I don't work with anybody if like, there's like exceptions to it. Like we were talking about in Car, we were like, Car was another person that had been following for a long time.
Yeah, but see, in Car's situation, you can look at the body of work.
Yeah, you can look at the body of work and just,
that's legit.
Obviously, and like, yeah, she's great. But yeah, I'll get them on a Zoom call or something like that. I don't care what time zone they're in. I'll make it work. I'll figure out a way to do it if I got to stay up or wake up early. You know, that's time I take. That's just my due diligence as a person. You know, I value someone's time. So if I want to work on a project with someone, I'm going to make myself as available as I possibly can, as much as a presence that I can, and not just be like an email or, you know, instant messages or anything like that. But yeah, and it's doing like that. That's why I typically, you know, before I even do anything, I agree to do stuff with anyone, like the relationship, the face-to-face, like all that stuff has to be there, has to be checked out. And if it doesn't, then like it's a no, no matter how much I want to do it.
I thought it was a good picture of me for something.
Yeah, Joey, you should share that with the rest of us.
There you go.
Yeah, it's just a good picture. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
There you go.
Jay,
what are your thoughts?
You know, if you're coming all the way to New York City from Nebraska to sleep on somebody's floor, right, and use your backpack as your pillow, it shows me that you're committed to doing the work, right? At least to finish the issue, if anything. But yeah, just like Tom, I've detailed the struggles. Vicky Sticks should be on its 15th issue right now, right? I had one guy who kept me going as he was working on a Valiant book. I had another guy kept me going for 2 years. And just right. I finally found somebody. Hopefully we can ride it out, at least to finish the arc. You know, let's finish the arc on this. But no, you know, I mentioned that Nebraska thing, but you know, two brothers at this point who flew in from Colombia, right? And didn't even get Airbnb, just stayed in hostels in New York. I didn't even know there were still hostels in New York. Yeah, looking for work, and I'm like, you fucking here? Let's go, right? One of them had kick-ass Hellboy pages, and I'm like, that's the fucking shit. I love that. And one of the other guys, you know, help me find my colorist. So yeah, loyalty though is hard to come by, man, and not just getting picked up by larger companies or get into a bidding war. Sometimes life happens, right? You know, one of my brothers lost his wife 2 weeks ago, right? Not this Saturday, the Saturday past, man. And it's like, how can you even think about talking shop with him, right? When he's going through this, all you can say is my heart goes out to you, bro. You know, my heart goes out to you. And this is the tough part. Do you put the stuff that you were going to work on with him on hold? Or do you go and work with somebody else on it? That's gut-wrenching, man. That's gut-wrenching, you know? I'm gonna fucking put it on hold. I'm gonna put it on hold. I don't know. Loyalty is my cross to bear on this.
Yeah, and I think when they're labors of love, especially, it's you know, something that maybe the onus is on us to sort of be loyal to the entire team. You know, it's a, you know, going into battle together, to use a tired, you know, sort of analogy, but it really is in a lot of ways. I like to use the band sort of metaphor for us, you know, because you have to be able to read each other and the timing, if you're changing signatures, and the rhythm section has to be in the pocket. And, you know, when you find people like that you can work with, you know, you should hang on to them. And if that means sometimes putting something on hold, because life, you know, kicks us all, you know, gives us all a good throat punch every now and again. And, you know, that, you know, the word empathy comes to mind. And I think we just all, the world would be a little better place if we all maybe were a little bit more loyal, both inside and outside of comics. But, you know, we all have things that are going on, and but again, I think it's, especially in the indie community, when it's a labor of love, loyalty is important, and so yeah, of course, what a person is going through is going to be far more important than finishing a project at a self-imposed time.
Yeah. So Calderon, answer your own question, buddy.
Yep. Yeah, I'm having internet issues. I don't know what the hell's going on, but I
It's the
much
storm
like
going
Tom.
on.
I don't know if you guys. I'm bad. Yeah, I know. I'm probably dying on there, but it's a lot of similar to what Marcus does. Stalking a lot of artists for a number of years. Watching them, seeing where they're going, see when I can fit in. When I can probably get a cover or something out of them. But also it's a thing of just keeping your eye. It's kind of like keeping your nose at a grindstone. You have to constantly watch, because once in a while a person will pop up and you're like, "Ooh, who's that guy?" And you'll see their artwork. And then my process is like, "Okay, can you do a cover for me, or can you do a pin up?" And then I got to see if they can do X character correctly or Y character correctly. And then I'm like, okay, then maybe give them a short story, 5-6 pages, then work from there. When it comes down to loyalty, my series artist on my main series artist for Oswald, Jade Gonzalez, years ago, probably like 2 or 3 years into us working together, she broke her hand. And she was like, "Look, I understand if you want to move on with another artist." And I said, "No, I'm going to wait for you. And it doesn't matter how long it takes." It took her like 6 months to recover. And I was just like, I just stopped production on the book. And I said, "No, when you're ready," and I waited for her. And, we've been working together for 14 years at this point, I think. So, and a couple of thousand pages in to the project. So, loyalty is important. You have to know when to, pull the brakes on stuff and, let a person, just live, and you have to be there.
And hopefully you got enough stuff going on to be able to do it.
Right. Of course. And, like I said, it's worked out for me, but it's constantly keeping the nose to the grindstone. What is it? Pablo Verdugo Munoz. That's a guy I've been watching for 15 years before I even asked him to do a piece for me, and I finally asked him and he said, "All right, cool." And I've done 4 or 5 pieces with him, and the guy's stuff is awesome. So, all right. Jay, you got a softball you want to close this with, or
no? Got nothing, kid. Yeah. I gave you a good one. That was beefy, bro. We got at least 25 minutes out of my question. Come on.
Do you see what I have to work with every week? Do you see what I have to work with?
Hold on a second. I came up with a question at least. This guy, you're paying him good money. He said, "I got nothing." He said, "Ungats." Come on, bro.
Ungats. Jesus. All right.
I gotta say this though. Hold on. Before you close out, I gotta say this. Marcus, bro, you got the headphone piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The clip on the headphone piece with the way you're positioned, right, is just underneath your beard, and it made it look like you had a little ponytail while you were talking, like you had a little fucking thing. I was like, "My man got a fucking magnet going on right there, bro."
No, that would be cool too, man.
He spiced up his fucking look for a second. I'm like, "That's how you do it, cuz." Shit.
Oh, I saw that too. I thought that was a thing. I'm like, nice.
It just happened to fall right along like my beard line.
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta up my game.
Yeah, man, it was wiggling. I was like, did Marcus take care of fucking business? What's going on there, man? Fucking you West Coasters. You West Coasters always try to one up all of us.
We're innovators all the time.
Yeah. Stardust.
All right, gentlemen. This was fantastic. You guys are all great. Thank you so much for being here. And we're going to start with Aaron. Aaron, where can we find you and your work, sir?
Well, we're going to have the Kickstarter launching this week. You can find that on Kickstarter for Sticks and Stones. Also at sticksandstones.com with the N in the middle. I am on IG at Aaron Cohen Writes. So you can find me there. And also on Blue Sky and Facebook.
All right, cool. Marcus.
Odyssey Comics, odysseycomics.com, Odyssey Comics just about everywhere. You hit our website. Every message comes to me. We also got new books that we just listed, and then a whole new refresh that we did to the website. So be sure to check it out. And then, yeah, check out for Culveron in the show notes if you're watching this. And go ahead, give it a follow, and we'll see you around.
All right, cool. Alex?
Ditto the Sticks and Stones, obviously. And then my personal website is alexschumacherart.com. And then I'm on Instagram, Blue Sky, all the above, at AJ Schumacher Art. And I post obsessively, so.
All right. Nice. All right, Tom, where do we find you?
BigDogInc.com. Get your books. Kickstarter, Legend of Oz, all year long. This campaign has 10 days to go. This will lead us into Goth Day, which is our final issue of Goth Day in May. And then the next issue of Oz will be towards the end of July after I get back from San Diego Comic-Con.
All right, cool. Mr. Rosario.
UnstableComics.com. You can find all my social media links on the website. Then on Friday nights, you can see me with this guy and with this guy over on Comic Book Streamland on YouTube. And then we've got the Dead Princess Vicky Sticks late pledges going on until December 12th. I know it's a long time. That's because that book is part of a special creator trading card set that includes this guy and that guy and a few others. So the set will be completed hopefully by the end of the year. So that's why all of our books that are involved in those late pledges are going until December. Is he gone again? Did he leave?
He's in the Matrix.
He ate that. He took that blue pill.
Bing.
Yeah, so I don't know what that was going on. All right, but anyway,
And we're back.
Jay, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Are you here?
All right. So everybody, please.
Are any of us here?
Instagram. I'm just barely. I don't know what that was going on.
It's now. Is this the existential part of the
what is
conversation?
love?
Are any of us really here? Yeah,
John?
it is. This is very much. So, please, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, every Sunday night here, or just about every Sunday night. Friday nights with Jay. Pretty soon back on Kickstarter because the hamster's wheel never ends. And please, everybody, remember, check out those show notes. In those show notes is everybody's links to all of their campaigns. So please click on those links, pick up those books. These creators are impassioned creators. They're all doing great projects. So please back them. All right. Because without your love, these projects don't exist. And these creators made these projects for you. So please remember, back those projects. And don't forget, everyone, read more indie comics, especially ours. Have a good night. Thank you.
That everybody.